public access TV. Public access TV started over 25 years ago. We're going to talk about it. In 1970, more than 100 public broadcasting member stations throughout the country became a network. By 1972, this number had grown to 233. This nation network gave PBS, I know you all know about PBS, Big Bird. This gave PBS the potential for reaching a broad audience. In the early 1970s, when Sesame Street came out, PBS programming was more mainstream and middle of the road. There was always the tactic threat that funding could be curdled or eliminated altogether. Now, I'm talking about public access TV, especially PBS, because PBS was one of the very first shows on public access and how they were government funded, therefore they had to be careful what they put out on television, because they could get their funds pulled by the government very quickly. And this was back in the 60s, so, there was nothing very controversial on TV, hence Sesame Street. Going on. Now, the show Catch 44 came out eventually, and this is more controversial because it gave the opportunity to community members to speak out on television without cost. So now TV had gone from boring Sesame Street to people being able to talk about basically whatever they wanted for free on television. A lot of public television is from Canada. Has a lot of Canadian roots. Things like Challenge for Change and housing problems. In 1970, the prototype for public access television was developed in Thunder Bay, Ontario. One man who had an important deal to do with public access television was George Stoney. In 1971, George Stoney moved to New York, spreading the seeds of public television across the United States. Now, he is widely recognized as the father of public access television, and he had a lot to do with a lot of the beginnings of public access television, especially in New York. We'll now talk about the controversial side of the programming. A quote from the text says, "Given cameras, airtime, and few restrictions, it was inevitable that public access television producers would test the limits of social acceptable television programming." Of course, they're going to test the limits. Why wouldn't they? So, in 1974, in Somerville, Massachusetts, a segment called Video Shorts produced a segment of a dog urinating on a local fire hydrant. Now, today, to all of you young people, that doesn't mean anything, but back then that was pretty damn controversial. Also, there was a young Marine who used some off-color language, which really got some people upset. Okay. By the early 1990s, public access television was flourishing in many communities across the country. Now, 1990s is not that long ago, and of course, public access television in any form would not exist at all if not for the support of the FCC, Congress, and the courts. So we thank them very much. As you can see, public access television has come a long way and will continue to grow and change. And we would not have our show, TVC TV, every Friday night if it weren't for public access television, where we can shoot almost anything we want and say almost anything we want. So thank you to our forefathers and public access television.